Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Ramya with the Midday News. The headlines. Government to prioritize children with comorbidities during COVID-19 vaccination drive for children in the country. Over 90 crore 79 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Recovery rate touches 97.89%. India imposes reciprocity guidelines under which UK nationals arriving in India from the UK will have to undergo mandatory quarantine. Uttar Pradesh government to give ex gratia 45 lakh rupees each to families of the deceased and 10 lakh rupees each to the injured in the violence in Lakhimpur Kheri. Delhi University begins undergraduate admission under the first cut-off list today. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla says both India and Sri Lanka to work on connectivity initiatives with easing of situation in the island. Fumio Kishida to be sworn in as Prime Minister of Japan. IMF terms adoption of cryptocurrency a pernicious threat to financial stability of emerging markets. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi pay tributes to the great nationalist Shyamji Krishna Verma on his birth anniversary today. And in IPL, topper Chennai Super Kings to face Delhi Capitals in Dubai at 7:30 p.m. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. The Union government will prioritize children with comorbidities during the COVID-19 vaccination drive for children in the country. National Immunization Technical Advisory Group NTAGI chairperson Dr. N.K. Arora said the rest of the children who are healthy can be immunized subsequently. Talking to All India Radio, Mr. Arora said the government will issue guidelines within a week.
First priority is to immunize all adults in the country, followed by children will be immunized in the first quarter of 2022. And by that time, we'll have 2 or 3 vaccines which can be given to children. Recently, we had first DNA vaccine, Zycov-D, which is also safe and effective for children 12 to 17 years. And DAGI is preparing a list of comorbidities, which will be made public in next 1 week or so. The conditions which will be prioritized for giving vaccine to these sick children. But later on, as more vaccine becomes available, it will be available for all healthy children also. Here I would like to say that there is another vaccine, Covaxin, which has been prepared and testing is going on for 2 to 17-year-old children, and the result should be available by next month. There is another pediatric vaccine which is being tried in children. This is Covaxin, and that vaccine is for 5 years to 17 years. So in other words, by early next year, we will have 3 vaccines where we will be able to immunize all healthy children.
Talking about the government's plan to vaccinate children between 12 to 18 years of age, NTAGI chief said they are trying to identify those who are at the highest risk of getting the severe disease and the need for hospitalization. More than 90 crore 79 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said over 23 lakh 46,000 doses were administered yesterday. India reported more than 20,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. India's active caseload stands at 2,64,458 and it is the lowest in 200 days. Active cases account for less than 1% of total cases and it is currently at 0.78%, the lowest since March last year. The ministry said the recovery rate is currently at 97.89%, the highest since March last year. Daily positivity rate is at 2.1%, which is less than 3% for the last 35 days.
The Health Ministry has said that more than 89 lakh vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far through direct state procurement category. More than 5 lakh balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories to be administered. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia today said that 70% of India's adult population has been administered the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine. In a tweet, he said, "Strong nation, rapid vaccination." The minister said, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is achieving new landmarks in the fight against the pandemic.
In Madhya Pradesh, the total number of COVID-19 cases reached 792,556 yesterday, with the addition of 9 new cases, while the death toll remained unchanged at 10,522. More in this report.
The state reported 9 cases, including 3 each in Bhopal and Shivpuri, 2 in Indore and 1 in Ratlam district. The active cases in the state stands at 117. More than 54,000 tests were conducted during the day. Over 6 crore 39 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the state so far. Of these, over 4 crore 86 lakh first dose and over 1 crore 53 lakh second dose have been administered. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Gujarat has recorded 23 new cases of COVID-19 during the last 24 hours. Quoting the State Health Department, our correspondent reports that 14 patients have been discharged from various hospitals after recovery. More from our correspondent.
Gujarat has recorded marginal increase in total active cases of COVID-19. At present, the total active cases in the state are 180, which are the highest during the last 43 days. Meanwhile, 62,842 people have been vaccinated in the state yesterday. More than 6 crore 14 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in Gujarat till now. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
The Kerala High Court today quashed a state government order that brought down the fee chargeable for RT-PCR tests by private laboratories from 1,700 to 500 rupees. The court allowed petitions filed by a couple of private laboratories challenging the government order against the reduction of rates. In Tripura, the state government's efforts to vaccinate against coronavirus for people living in the remote corners of the state has brought a significant success, as Tripura has come very close to achieve the status of herd immunity. Official sources in the State Health Department told AIR News that if the vaccination continues at the same pace, the herd immunity will be achieved by the month of December.
United Kingdom nationals arriving in India and from the UK will have to undergo mandatory quarantine from today. India has decided to impose reciprocity, under which UK nationals arriving in India from the UK will have to undergo mandatory quarantine. The decision came after the United Kingdom announced new travel rules which state that Indian travellers, even those who have received both doses of the Covishield vaccine, will be considered unvaccinated. Sources said the new regulations will be applicable to all UK nationals arriving from the UK. All such persons arriving in India, irrespective of their vaccination status, will have to undertake measures like pre-departure COVID-19 RT-PCR test within 72 hours before travel and on arrival at the airport. They will also have to undertake the RT-PCR test on day 8 after arrival and undergo mandatory quarantine at home or in the destination address for 10 days after arrival in India. Union Minister for Labour and Employment Bhupendra Yadav has said that government is focused on the welfare of workers through evidence-based policy making, following the motto of Mehnat ko Samman, Adhikar Ek Saman. The Union Minister was flagging off the fieldwork of the Area Frame Establishment Survey at Shram Bureau Bhavan, Chandigarh, on the occasion of the 101th Foundation Day of Labour Bureau yesterday.
Delhi University is starting undergraduate admission under the first cut-off list today. It will continue till the 6th of this month. The admission process is completely online. The students have to log in to the admission dashboard to select the subject and college, upload documents and pay the admission fee to complete the process. The university had announced the first cut-off list on the 1st of this month. Chairman of the university's admission committee, Professor Rajiv Gupta, said enough time has been given to the students to apply and pay the fees and asked them not to be in a hurry. He said the students should review the situation before cancelling the admission, as the seats are limited and cut-offs are quite high. As per the guidelines, the candidate is allowed to choose only one program in a college during a particular cut-off. The DU has planned to release 5 cut-off lists and 3 special cut-offs, depending on the availability of seats this year. In Lakhimpur district of Uttar Pradesh, the meeting between agitating farmers and the local administration has ended. As per the agreement, the investigation of the violence that took 8 lives yesterday will be done under the supervision of retired Judge of High Court. ADG Law and Order Prashant Kumar briefed about the details of the agreement.
न्यायिक जांच पूरे प्रकरण की हाई कोर्ट के वरिष्ठ रिटायर्ड जज के द्वारा कराई जाएगी और जो भी मृतक हैं उनको 45 लाख रुपए का प्रति व्यक्ति मुआवजा सरकार के द्वारा दिया जाएगा। घायलों को 10 लाख रुपए का अनुदान शासन के द्वारा दिया जाएगा। इसके अतिरिक्त जो भी आदमी मृतक हैं उनके घर के एक व्यक्ति को उसके योग्यता के अनुसार नौकरी दी जाएगी।
Meanwhile, an FIR has been filed in Tikunika police station in relation with yesterday's violence in Lakhimpur Kheri. FIR mentions name of Ashish Mishra also, who is the son of a local MP and Union Minister of State for Home Affairs Ajay Mishra. He accused anti-social elements for the violence and said that it was a conspiracy.
प्रशासन ने हमारा रूट डाइवर्ट कर दिया। हम लोग दूसरी तरफ जाने से हमको कार्यक्रम स्थल की तरफ वो लेकर के गए। उसी दौरान हमारे जो कार्यकर्ता, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता, मेरी गाड़ी में मेरे ड्राइवर के साथ कुछ और भी गाड़ियां थी, वो लेकर के रिसीव करने जा रहे थे। तो ऐसी जब उनको जानकारी हुई कि डाइवर्जन हो गया है तो वो उस रूट की तरफ बढ़े। उसी दौरान किसानों के बीच में छुपे हुए कुछ उपद्रवी बोले, उनके गाड़ियों पर पथराव किया, गाड़ियों पर लाठी डंडे से वार करने शुरू किए, जिससे गाड़ियों में बैठे हुए लोग हड़बड़ा गए, हमारे कार्यकर्ता हड़बड़ा गए और उनको फिर खींच करके उन लोगों ने लाठी डंडों और तलवारों से मारा पीटा है, जिसके वीडियो भी हमारे पास है। और जिस तरह से ये घटना हुई उसके बाद उन्होंने ये भी चिल्ला कर कहा कि गाड़ी को नीचे धक्का दो, गाड़ियों को नीचे खाई में सड़क से उन्होंने धकेला है, उसका भी वीडियो है। उसके बाद उन्होंने गाड़ियों में आग लगाई, गाड़ियों की तोड़-फोड़ की और इस तरह की घटनाओं को अंजाम दिया है।
Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has appealed to the people of Lakhimpur Kheri to maintain peace, stay at home and not pay heed to rumours, terming the Lakhimpur incident as unfortunate and expressing grief over it. Yogi Adityanath has also asked people to refrain from arriving at any conclusions and asked for their contribution in maintaining peace and order on the spot. In an official statement by the Chief Minister's office, Yogi Adityanath has assured that action will be taken against whoever is responsible.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Lucknow tomorrow to take part in the urban conclave being organized by the state's Urban Development Department and to inaugurate several other urban development schemes. This program, which is to be held at the Indira Gandhi Pratishthan in the state capital, is being organized on the occasion of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The urban conclave will be for 3 days. On this occasion, around 75,000 beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana will be given keys. These beneficiaries, who are from different cities of the state, will be given financial assistance of 2.5 lakh rupees each to build houses. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Government to prioritize children with comorbidities during COVID-19 vaccination drive for children in the country. Over 90 crore 79 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Recovery rate touches 97.89%. India imposes reciprocity guidelines under which UK nationals arriving in India from the UK will have to undergo mandatory quarantine. Uttar Pradesh government to give ex gratia of 45 lakh rupees each to the families of the deceased and 10 lakh rupees each to the injured in the violence in Lakhimpur Kheri. Delhi University begins undergraduate admission under the first cut-off list today. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla says both India and Sri Lanka to work on connectivity initiatives with easing of situation in the island. Fumio Kishida to be sworn in as the Prime Minister of Japan. IMF terms adoption of cryptocurrency a pernicious threat to financial stability of emerging markets. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to the great nationalist Shyamji Krishna Varma on his birth anniversary today. And in IPL, topper Chennai Super Kings to face Delhi Capitals in Dubai at 7:30 p.m. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास। तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर हर सोमवार।
Welcome back to the Midday News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated the new Prime Minister of Japan, Kishida Fumio. In a message, Mr. Modi said he looks forward to working with him to further strengthen their special strategic and global partnership and advance peace and prosperity in the region and beyond. Japan's parliament today elected former Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida as the Prime Minister. He is the 100th Prime Minister in the country's political history. Mr. Kishida is now forming his cabinet, and his new cabinet will be sworn in at a palace ceremony later in the day. He replaces Yoshihide Suga, who resigned after only 1 year in office as his support plunged over his government's handling of the pandemic and insistence on holding the Tokyo Olympics as the virus spread. Mr. Kishida is expected to make a policy speech in Parliament on Friday, but is looking to dissolve the lower house to hold elections on the 31st of October. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla has said that with the easing of the situation in Sri Lanka, it may be opportune for both the countries to work on connectivity initiatives like the Jaffna to Chennai flight and ferry services between Karaikal and Kankesanturai and Dhanushkodi and Talaimannar. He said during the COVID pandemic period, India kept its airspace open for travel for specific and urgent medical needs of Sri Lanka. Speaking at the inauguration of Indian development projects in Sri Lanka, Mr. Shringla said the state visits of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to India in November 2019 and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa in February 2020 have given fresh impetus to bilateral relations. International Monetary Fund IMF has warned against the adoption of cryptocurrency, saying it can threaten financial stability of emerging markets. According to the IMF, cryptocurrency poses new challenges to financial stability and consumer protection. Risks remain substantial given limited or inadequate disclosure and oversight. The total market value of all the crypto assets surpassed $2 trillion as of September 2021, a tenfold increase since early 2020. IMF's financial experts said anonymity of crypto assets also creates data gaps for regulators and can open unwanted doors for money laundering as well as terrorist financing. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to the great nationalist Shyamji Krishna Varma on his birth anniversary today. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said, displaying fierce patriotism, Shyamji Krishna Varma turned India House into a focal point of revolutionary Indian nationalism in London. The Prime Minister said a grateful nation will never forget his contribution in the freedom struggle. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion of the Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in morning news. since the 16th of August, and it will continue till the 15th of August 2022. India Post has joined hands as the logistics partner with All India Radio News for the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 8826546262 or through email on amritmahotsav@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Today is the birth anniversary of well-known freedom fighter and revolutionary Shyamji Krishna Varma. He was born on the 4th of October 1857 in Manvi, a port town in the formerly princely state of Kutch in Gujarat. After completing his schooling in Mumbai, he studied at Balliol College in Oxford. In 1881, the then Secretary of State for India sent him to represent the learning of his country at the Berlin Congress of Orientalists. There, he not only read his own paper on the subject of Sanskrit as the living language of India, but also read a patriotic Sanskrit poem and translated it into English for the audience.
In 1885, he returned to India and enrolled himself as an advocate of the Mumbai High Court and started his practice. During his stay in India, Shyamji was very much impressed with Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He initiated a very friendly relationship with Tilak, which inspired him to the nationalist movement.
Shyamji settled in London after his return to England in 1897. In 1905, he was barred from practicing law by London's Inner Temple on charges of sedition for writing against the colonial government. Varma was posthumously reinstated by the Inner Temple in 2015 after the Inn's governing council noted that it did not receive an entirely fair hearing.
He founded the Indian Home Rule Society in London in 1905, which was aimed at promoting self-rule in British India. He also founded the India House in London in the same year, which was a base of revolutionary activities against the British rule. Varma edited the monthly Indian Sociologist, an organ of freedom and of political, social and religious reform.
In 1914, Varma moved to Geneva and spent the rest of his life there. Shyamji Krishna Varma died on March 30, 1930, with the wish that his ashes be returned to his motherland after it has attained freedom. In August 2003, Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi went to Switzerland and got back the ashes of Shyamji Krishna Varma and his wife. Today is also the birth anniversary of freedom fighter Subramanya Shiva. He was born on 4th October 1884 in Madurai. He was the first person to be imprisoned in Madras by the British over sedition charges. Shiva was one of the greatest nationalists of the Tilak era. Shiva persuaded many young men to join the freedom movement by establishing Dharma Paripalan Samaj. This led to his 6 years of severe imprisonment by the British in 1908.
Through the monthly journal Gyanabhanu he edited and published, Shiva kept the freedom struggle alive while in prison. He passed away on 23rd of July 1925. To commemorate Shiva's contribution to the freedom struggle, former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha inaugurated a memorial in his honor in Paparapatti in 2012.
Today is also the birth anniversary of a freedom fighter and revolutionary Tirupur Kumaran. He was born on 4th October 1904 in Chennimalai, which is presently Erode in Tamil Nadu. While the independence movement was gaining momentum in the country, Kumaran too found himself influenced.
Inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's principles and ideals, Kumaran began to participate in the demonstrations announced by Bapu.
When Gandhiji led a demonstration in Bombay in 1932, the British decided to arrest him. There were riots and protests against his arrest all over the country. The protests had people carrying out the national flag, which was banned at the time, in honor as well as in revolt. One of the participants holding the flag was Tirupur Kumaran. When the British police started lathi charge on the protesters, Kumaran did not leave the premises. The cops thrashed the protesters, including Kumaran, who fell but did not let the flag touch the ground. The 27-year-old freedom fighter succumbed to his injuries on 11th January 1932.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
In the program Spotlight, we are broadcasting a special series, Seva aur Samarpan, 20 Saal Sushashan Ke. Today, the theme is Yuva Shakti, Sports to Startups. It showcases the efforts of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to support sporting talent and skilling the youth for nation building and development of the country. This special program can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:15 p.m. onwards. At the stock markets, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange climbed 574 points to trade at 59,339 in the afternoon session a short while ago. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange advanced 167 points to 17,698.
In sports news, in IPL cricket, points table topper Chennai Super Kings will take on Delhi Capitals in Dubai at 7:30 p.m. In yesterday's match, Kolkata Knight Riders beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 6 wickets in Dubai last night. Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. The national capital Delhi is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature was 25 degrees Celsius, while maximum is expected to be around 35 degrees. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. It recorded a minimum temperature of 27 degrees, while maximum is expected to be 33. Chennai expected to have thunderstorm with rain. The lower limit of temperature was 26 degrees, while upper limit is expected to be nearly 34 degrees. Kolkata is likely to have a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The city noted a minimum temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, while maximum is expected to be around 34 degrees. Visakhapatnam will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The city noted a minimum temperature of 26, maximum to be around 33. Hyderabad, the temperature will hover between 25 and 34 degrees with generally cloudy sky and light rain. Bengaluru will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Temperature will fluctuate between 21 and 30 degrees. Thiruvananthapuram will have a generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature was 23 degrees, while maximum will be around 31. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Government to prioritize children with comorbidities during COVID-19 vaccination drive for children in the country. Over 90 crore 79 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Recovery rate touches 97.89%. India imposes reciprocity guidelines under which UK nationals arriving in India from the UK will have to undergo mandatory quarantine. Uttar Pradesh government to give ex gratia 45 lakh rupees each to families of the deceased and 10 lakh rupees each to the injured in the violence in Lakhimpur Kheri. Delhi University begins undergraduate admission under the first cut-off list today. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla says both India and Sri Lanka to work on connectivity initiatives with easing of situation in the island. Fumio Kishida to be sworn in as Prime Minister of Japan. IMF terms adoption of cryptocurrency a pernicious threat to financial stability of emerging markets. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to great nationalist Shamji Krishna Varma on his birth anniversary today And in IPL, topper Chennai Super Kings to face Delhi Capitals in Dubai at 7:30 p.m. And with that, we end the midday news.